is the same as not knowing. So if you're gonna learn this stuff, you might as well use it, or otherwise why learn it? So that's another concept that we get at. And then finally, we say that, and I firmly believe this, that it's a choice. It's a choice to decide to be a leader. And so we talked last week a little bit more. I'm just kind of recapping. Do you really see yourself as a leader? And the question is, I don't know if I see myself as a leader or not. I kind of need to know what a leader does. So what does a leader do? Well, a leader does, we talked about this, and I don't want to go over this because I know many of you were here and you got it last week, but leaders pay attention to results. They hold team members accountable to results. They generate commitment. They manage conflict, and they build trust. And if you can do those things, you can be a leader. And I know some of this stuff looks kind of big and hefty and kind of hard to wrap your head around, but that's ultimately what this program teaches, is those things. So, to recap, specifically, this is what we talked about. We talked about something called locus of control, which basically means this. Where do you see the control in your life? Do you think that the control of your life is inside of you? Because if you do, then you have what psychologists call an internal locus of control. Does that make sense? Because you believe that the location of control is inside of you. So that we talked a little bit about that, and we also said that, well, and the research shows that people who are head of like Fortune 500 companies and things like that, they test out very high when it comes to having an internal locus of control. But I know you all know people who have an external locus of control, right? People are like, you've heard these kids say, not just kids, adults too, oh, there's nothing we can do about that, or whatever, right? So those people they just believe that everything is happening to them. And leaders just tend not to think that way, okay? We talked about the language of proactive thinkers. Some great suggestions. In your workbook, there's a little list of things that you will hear a lot from reactive thinkers, or people with an external locus of control. One of the great ones that I think we talked about back here, I actually used it in another leadership talk I was giving a couple days ago, that somebody in this room came up with, except I don't see him here. Now maybe he was here, but anyway, it was the one about people with an external locus of control. Sometimes you'll hear them say something to the effect of, well, that's just the way I am. And you're just going to have to deal with it, because that's just the way I am. As if you don't have any control over who you are. So the suggestion came from somebody in this group, except I don't see that person here. But what he said was, how about you use the phrase, that's who I tend to be. Because there's a very subtle difference there, because now you have the choice. Even though this is who you tend to be, you don't have to be that person all the time. So that's when we talked a little bit about the language of proactive thinkers. And then we talked about the concept of working upstream from results. A lot of people think, well, if I just pay attention to my results, then all I have to do is just act in a certain way and I will get the results that I want. But the problem is, sometimes our mindset will get in the way of that. And so we talked a little bit about that. This session is much more you-based. It's much more, you are going to start thinking about, if you haven't already thought about, where your team or group is headed. And we're going to get kind of formal about some strategies on making sure you understand what leaders typically do in terms of setting a direction, setting a course. Some words we're going to use tonight: vision, like what do you actually envision or imagine? Mission, values, and actions. And what you will, or I guess what I've come to realize over the years is, it doesn't matter what you call the stuff that we're going to talk about. The important thing is, what effect does it have on the people around you? And so we'll get into that today. That's kind of high on the list. Specifically, why do you have a mission? And then we're going to use two models, two ideas, I guess you'd say, about how to set a direction for your group. Okay, so we're going to talk about the golden circle model, and then what I call the building model, and then we're going to talk about, or you're going to talk about, how to create some kind of a meeting. Now, when I say meeting, I don't mean like a formal sit down, we're all going to have suits and ties on, but some kind of a gathering where you can get together with some of the key players in your group, maybe hopefully your coach, or maybe your coach has already done a lot of this work for you and you just don't know it, and that's fine too. But we're going to talk about whether or not you're ready to get some kind of a meeting going to make sure that you kind of charted a course. So that's really what tonight's session is all about. So, something just slipped my mind, but I'm sure it'll come back. Okay. Again, I notice we have the White Bear people in the back, is that correct? North Branch people in the front? That's perfect. That'll work great. No, what I was kind of hoping was to get ourselves in groups, kind of. So, I'm not exactly sure how to do it. One kind of fun way that I sometimes do when I'm trying to get people to mingle a little bit is I just play one arm or two arm, okay? And here's the game. If you're from White Bear, can you have two arms up like this? And if you're from North Branch, you can just put one arm up like this. And then if you could just kind of get into groups, so now you can just tell by looking, right? Who's if you stand up and turn around. And I would say this, I would like it, the ideal thing, but it doesn't have to be this way, but the ideal thing is to be in groups of about 5 for this discussion. So if you can get yourself into groups of 5, arrange your tables however you need to arrange them so that you can talk to each other, but you can also see the screen, okay? So just a little one arm, two arm. This is, believe me, it's chaos. It takes longer than you think, but it's worth it. So one arm, two arm if you're a White Bear person, two arms if you're a North Branch person, one arm, and mingle. Try to get yourself into a group. And you know what? If we have to switch it up a little, we can. Don't worry about it. Just do your best. At least one of each, if we can. At least one of each. And we can mix it up a little bit. And you guys, you may want to like rotate your table or something so you can see each other, but you can also see the screen. And you guys too, you may want to just rotate your table or something so you can see each other, but you can also see the screen. You're going to want to get comfortable here. You can slide tables together if you need to, whatever you need to do. Right in there. If I try. Right in.
Okay, mine's good.
Okay, so can we just kind of, for my sake, can we just go one arm, two arm real quick so I can just kind of take a look at the groups here? We got a good group here. That's a good group there. You guys, or you're just trying to jump in here? That'll probably work. Well, might be better to have 6. We got 4 here, 7 there, 5 there, 4 there. It'll work. Okay. All right. The more people you have, it's just you might not get as much work done, but we'll get it. All right. So you guys may want to like rotate yourselves physically, like rotate your table or something, because you need to see each other and you need to see. And you can also, if you want to put tables together or something like that, but you also want to see more. All right, I like that. That's good. Okay. All right, I'm going to put you on the spot here for a second. Just to kind of a get to know you thing. Sorry to put you on the spot here, but we only got 3 questions this time. And just if you just let them know your name, obviously you have your name on your thing, so I don't know how important that is. Your school, obviously it's pretty simple. And then if you'd also share your favorite quote. So think of a quote, if you can. Just think of, I know I'm putting you on the spot. It is tough. It's tough. All right, go ahead and oh yeah, they're going to start looking through the book. Yeah, there's a bunch on page 109. So turn to that page. So take maybe 5 minutes to get to know each other.
Should we rotate the table this way? So otherwise it's like a weird shape.
Yeah. We probably won't publish all of it on YouTube, so that's fine.
We missed the first couple of minutes. I'm afraid.
I know you look like you're having trouble with that.
Got it now.
Picking my teeth open, they're all really good.
And my favorite quote. Oh, I just won't be
Favorite quote?
Oh, you did a long question. Okay. My name is Jordan. I'm from my favorite. And my favorite. You should just take one of your cards. You'd be like, oh, there's one in different. I should be scary.
Alright, hey Justin. From like there.
I'm Avery.
Yep.
How are we doing?
Couple
more minutes?
I had the same thing written in my book, so we're equally prepared.
This is the one. This is my favorite. Oh, okay. My name is Madeline. I'm from Northridge. And my favorite quote, let's see, I don't even know. I think it's obstacles are the things you take. Obstacles are the things you see when you take something down. When we ran into the road it was in, so we went to that lady. She doesn't remember me. How many times have I been in there? You guys know I've been in there for like 20 times. It's down that way to the left. Hey.
Cool, let me read your book really quick. 1 second.
Was something around
Great minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, small minds discuss people. Eleanor Roosevelt.
I might answer this right now, but it's because I know Caleb did it.
Are we good? Are we introduced or not yet?
We're introduced.
We're introduced. Okay. So you got names right there. Hopefully everyone got a chance to just kind of let everybody know. Okay. So if you want to, let's start with this. That diagram's on page 21. So why don't you have your book open to page 20, your little workbook. Open page 21, and then I need a volunteer. And I know everybody's gonna like, no, don't point at other people. Okay, you're my guy. Come on up. What's your name, there, partner?
Wyatt.
Wyatt. All right, Wyatt. Now, I need another volunteer. But this volunteer, all you have to do is tell him what to do. Okay, and you can actually stay where you're at. Okay, so you don't have to move. So Wyatt, I kind of need you to be honest because I forgot my blindfold. Okay.
All right.
But so you got to just keep your eyes shut.
All right.
Okay. Now, you can actually open them because I got to show you something first. So you see that, you see back by Mr. Carlson and Mr. Herman there's a little container and a little crumpled up piece of paper?
Yes.
All I need you to do is put that piece of paper in that container, okay? So, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask you to close your eyes, okay? And I'm also gonna spin you around a little bit. And I'm really gonna ask for you guys to just, really just keep it down so that he can't get any cues off of your voices. Does that make sense? And my man back there, Tanner, why don't you, actually, let's have you come on out, all right? You can be by him. And so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to spin you around. And Tanner, I want you to get him back there, okay? But the only advice you can give him is no.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if he's going the wrong way, you just say no.
Okay.
But you can only say no about every 3 seconds. So you got to give him a chance to kind of move, and you got to keep your eyes closed. Okay? All right, keep your eyes closed. And I'm just going to spin you around a little bit. And you can start.
Tanner, how am I doing? Nope. All right. Nope. Nope.
Got it? Good. All right, now, wait, we're not done. We're not done. Nice job. We got one more to do.
All right.
Okay? We're going to do the exact same thing.
All right.
But now you can say whatever you want, whenever you want.
All right.
Okay? Exact same exercise. Ready? You can tell. Watch out for this, look out for that, do this. Okay.
Walk straight ahead. Left. Straight. Yeah, just bump into that.
Bump into something.
Keep going. Straight ahead. You can walk faster than that. Now just straight ahead. Go. 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 And go to your right. Straight ahead. Now keep on. 3 more steps. Right. There you go. Right of that.
That's it.
There it is.
All right, good. Thanks. All right, good job, guys. Let's give him a hand. Okay. So now I need another volunteer. Anybody can do this, I think, just to kind of sort of explain what the point of that was in terms of being an effective leader. What is that? What is that metaphor? What is that a metaphor for, or what is the point of that
You
exercise?
can get more done if like people are helping you instead of like just stopping you.
Good. Instead of just saying don't do this and don't do that, we're saying
Do this.
do this and do that. Yeah. It's the concept is exactly what you have in your book. There's 2 models of getting from where you are today to where you want to be, right? And the one model, there's really nothing wrong with this model because it actually works, and that is just to leave where you are and just randomly go in any direction. Problem with that is you could end up anywhere, obviously, right? But in this model over here, you say, this is where I am, and this is where I want to be. So since I know exactly where I want to be, I'm going to move in the direction that I want to go, right? That's sort of the idea behind why do we actually spend time thinking about where we want to go? Because some people could just say, well, what do you mean? I'm on the soccer team. Our goal is to win soccer games. And I get that. I do, and I think that's a good goal, right? Or some people say, well, you know, I'm in the musical, and our goal is to put on a great musical. That's great, but what does that mean to be in a great musical? And so the point is that if you just say, you know, we're not doing real well, you know, in baseball, say, we just want to do better. What's better? I don't know, but it's not this, right? I want to have in your brain, think about it this way. If you were going to tell somebody else what to do, you would have to be very specific. Okay? Your own brain needs that from yourself also. You have to tell yourself specifically what you're going to do. And when you do, the research shows, when you do that, the research shows you'll get there quicker and better and more effectively and more often. The concept is super, super simple. And I sometimes compare it to like if you were going to take a trip somewhere. Somebody tell me, if you're going to take a trip somewhere, what's the first thing you do? Exactly. You would decide on a destination. That's the first thing you would go. That's the first thing you would do. Decide on a destination. One of the things I kind of told you guys before I teach science, one of the things I like to do is I like to break down words. The word decide is not, most people think it's not a very interesting word. This is one of the most interesting words in our language, I think. Anyone ever break this word down or heard it broken down? It's D, the prefix DE. It's a Latin word, okay? DE means off, like a degreaser will take the grease off, you know what I mean? Or a deflower, you take a flour off, something like that. So DE means off. Sidir, or it's probably actually was pronounced kaidir. They didn't have a soft C. It was a kaidir. Kaidir means to cut. We've changed it to sidir in our language, but you can actually hear the word decision in the word scissors. You know what I mean? Or like a deciduous tree. What does a deciduous tree do with its leaves in the fall? Yeah, it cuts them off. That's why we call them deciduous trees, because the leaves are cut off, right? Well, think about the word decide. When you decide on something, what are you doing? You're cutting off every other possibility, and you're going this way. Does that make sense? And look at the word destination. What word is that related to? Can anyone see it? That's right. Destiny. It's where you want to end up. What do you really want out of life, right? You decide on a destination. So obviously that's the first thing you got to do. You got to decide where you're going. What's the second thing? You're going on a trip. What are you going to do? It's easy nowadays.
How do you get there?
Yeah, you got to figure out where you're going, right? Get yourself some kind of a map. And it's the same thing if you're trying to decide on a goal for your group, your team, whatever. You need a plan. And so if you want to think of it this way, MAP stands for Massive Action Plan. Now it's not just a massive plan, it's a massive action plan. Because once you have a destiny, or destination rather, and once you have a map, well now what's the only thing left to do? Is just to go, right? And when you're talking about leading a group, all you have to do is act, A-C-T. And the little thing I use for this is this. Anyone can talk. Make a bracelet or a t-shirt that says that. Anyone can talk. If you're a leader, you act. And you follow those 3 steps, and you pay attention to where you're going, you pay attention to the results that you're getting along the way, and you will end up where you're trying to get to. And that's sort of the focus of tonight. So, that said, this is not in your workbook, okay? This actually comes from a book that I just recently finished. It's called Start With Why. This is what he calls the golden circle. The author of the book is named Simon Sinek. And he says this, think of like some good companies that you know of. The company he loves to talk about is Apple. He says, Apple computers are really just about as good as any computer on the market. They probably look a little nicer, they're maybe designed a little better, but they do the same things that any other computer can do. But they can charge anywhere from 40 to 60% more. Why? Why is that? The answer that he gives is because Apple doesn't sell what. Their what is a computer or an iPod or an iPad. They sell, who said it? They sell why. Why would you buy a Mac? It's cool to buy a Mac, right? Or it's You know, designers buy Mac. Creative people, they buy Macs. Are you a creative? Everyone wants to be a creative person, right? So you buy a Mac. The whole thesis of his book is you start with why. So I'm going to ask you that now, to think, just a little bit. Why does your group exist? And if the answer is, well, I'm a volleyball team. We win games. That's why we exist. Hold on a second. That's what you do. That's what you do. I'm a wrestler. I win. That's what you do. Now I'm going to really challenge your thinking. Why? Why do you do that? Why do you do what you do? Why does your group exist? Okay. That's a pretty deep question, isn't it? There's probably an answer. But what Cynic says, that's the author of this book, he says this. He says, ask yourself why. And when you come up with an answer, ask yourself, well, why is that? And when you got an answer to that, say, well, why is that? And when you get to the point where it's kind of like self-evident, you know what that word means? Like it's obvious, the answer's just obvious, I can't even put it into words, it's too obvious. You're probably there. He says it should stop somewhere just short of to make the world a better place. That's probably not why you're on a volleyball team, but it's just short of that. Okay? So I'm going to ask you to have a conversation. In your groups, talk to the people in your groups, hoping that you're feeling a little comfortable with these people. Sometimes it can be a little hard to put yourself out there. I hate to tell you this, that's kind of the job of a leader at times, is to put yourself out there a little bit. So hopefully you can summon the courage to do that right now and start at least talking a little bit about why you exist as a group. And we have two pretty big groups here. I think it would work better if we cut them in half for now. So could we cut this group in half maybe, somewhere, and then do the same back here, cut that group in half? I just feel like we'll be more comfortable with, especially with this question. Okay, so why do you exist? Why is your group a group? Go ahead.
Okay, basketball.
Is he talking about this group, or is he talking?
If you have questions, let me know. Fire them at me.
I kind of thought it was. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Are you asking about this group?
No, I'm sorry.
About our
Well,
individual?
yeah, you're here for what group?
Okay.
So are you a captain?
Yeah, they shoot me.
Okay, so why do you even have a group?
It's cheap to shoot.
We're good at it.
So is that why your group exists?
No.
I mean, it can be. There's
Not like
nothing.
golf.
We exist, as a group, we exist to have fun and do something that we all have in common and love to do, which is to shoot. That's a pretty good why.
Yeah.
So then I could ask you, well, can you go any deeper than that? You might say,
Just fine.
really? Well, then you have your why.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Guess that's honestly what it was.
How's it keep you in the question? You know where we're going with this, or not really?
So when you said she's got the RV right here.
Are we done? So,
I really don't know.
You guys have fun with the school and doing things like you do that.
is that why you're back? Is that why
Yeah, well, actually,
isn't that the point? It's gonna be like a part of the thing.
Last year your girlfriend.
And then to have.
She's so fast. You'd be like, great, I'm just waiting for her. And you get her, like, let me fix this. Listen.
You want to stand up for one?
Yeah. We have cross sticks with their plastic. Is it like how girls is no contact? Oh, yeah. So, you can get 2 years old. I would want to. I mean, if I had people in soccer,
By being out here, you can set all these lower.
Oh, we didn't, we got way Oh, Jameson? It's probably my favorite wine. All our hot teachers are
All right, hey, I want to share with you. Okay, I want to share with you something you're going to build tonight, and it won't be a final product, believe me. But I wanted to share this with you. Does anybody remember, by the way, the little bullseye that I just showed you? Do you remember what color the bullseye was? It was yellow. So, in other words, this group, this is their why. Okay? Now, this was the belief that they came to through a big discussion among about 35 members of the same football team. Okay? They said this, because really the reason why this football team exists is because it develops the kind of people who believe in and succeed by improving every day, outworking everyone, giving maximum effort, and working together. That's what they came up with. I thought that was pretty insightful for a group of 16, 17-year-old young men. That might be a little deeper than where you were planning on taking this. And I understand that. I was talking to Joe over here, and Joe was talking about his shooting team. And he says, I kind of think, he says, sincerely, the main reason why we exist is because it's fun, it's social, it's something that we all have in common, and it's a way for us to get together. And maybe that's as deep as it goes. But maybe it goes a step deeper where it's because if you're doing that, you're not out getting in trouble, and it's actually, you're not out shooting things you shouldn't be shooting. And maybe you're learning to do something and develop into a good citizen. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's too deep. Maybe you don't want to go that deep. Maybe you just say, no, it's just a fun thing. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So maybe this is a little deeper than where you wanted to go, but I thought that this is a pretty good example of where at least one group took this. So what I'm going to ask you to do real quick, and this is not your mission, it's not your mission, this is your why. Okay? This is what some people would kind of call your vision, I guess. But it's just your why. Why do you exist? I'm going to ask you to put it into a sentence or two. So just somewhere in your book, there's really no specific, well, there is a specific place to write it, but you can just write it anywhere for now. Just write down what you think. And you can say, well, my coach is never going to allow it. That's okay. That's not what we're talking. We're not talking about your coach right now. Is what do you think? What do you think what do you think your reason for being is? And just put it into a sentence or two. Go ahead. It won't be your final draft, by the way. You're not on the spot. And to entice you to get your job done, I'm just going to let you know that when you're done with this, we are halfway through the evening, which means it's snack time. There's some water and snacks. But you have to get your thing done first, or otherwise you can't have it. What are they? Teddy grams? Right now.
Think about it. Snack time.
So when you got a sentence or two written down, feel free to grab a water and a snack and maybe just stand up, stretch your legs for a couple minutes.
Don't give on the ride.
If you need help, let me know.
Like there's one more spot for sure, but there might be two. Hey, we're a good team, you know? Me and you? Yeah. Dude, I think we can We can go Alright.
Remember one.
Got it.
Look at it, it's even big numbers. Did it come out? Not really.
Okay, well, hopefully you got a bottle of water and a snack in front of you now. And we don't have to, but I was just wondering if anybody'd be willing to just share what you got on paper. Absolutely not is the answer. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
This is for like our individual sport, right?
What, yes, exactly. And what can you kind of tell us what your sport is and stuff? Too?
Choosing.
Okay.
If you count that as a sport, I do.
Okay.
I think that our group did this to bring like spiritual school and bring awareness about school events and bring excitement.
That's a. I mean, I honestly, I think you nailed it. I think that's exactly right. I mean, now that doesn't mean other people wouldn't disagree with you, but I think that in terms of how I see cheer group and even like competitive cheerleading and that kind of thing, I mean, that's the purpose of cheer squad. That's good. That's good. Anybody else? Yeah.
I'm captain of cross country,
Okay.
and our group exists to be an inclusive and supportive like group.
Okay. So, and as you know, and as it turns out, I have a daughter that ran cross country for a couple of years, 3 years actually, And she's not a runner, believe me. I mean, she's not a runner. But that's why she did it, was because she wanted to be in a group and just keep doing something so she could kind of be ready for her other sport. Yeah. And that's fine. And maybe, you know, like I said, maybe there are members of your cross-country team who would say, no, baloney, we're trying to win everything we can. We want medals and trophies and all this stuff, and we're trying to get, you know, and that's probably a difference of opinion, and that doesn't matter for this exercise because that's how you see it. You're the captain, so. Okay. Anybody else?
Football team, and our mission would be to develop a good work ethic and some responsibility that will help you succeed in life.
That's pretty solid. I'm a football coach, and that's kind of how I see my role as a coach, is to hopefully develop that work ethic so that these young men that I'm working with are ready for whatever they run into in the next step, whatever the next step is for them. Good, good. We keep going all night. Joe, you seem like you want to say something.
I'm okay.
Sure.
It was pretty well covered.
Well, I do like what you said before too, so. Did you stick with that concept, Tanner, or take it a little deeper?
I pretty much stayed along the same lines.
It's just a fun thing, Pete, trust me, that's all it is. Okay, that's good. Now, so if you read Sinek's book, he says the first thing people need to figure out is their why. He says Apple does that. He says Harley does that. Think about Harley. How many products are out there? Think about this question. How many products on the market today would actually, like, there are people who think it would be cool to get a tattoo of them. Like, can you imagine getting a, you know, Nabisco tattoo or something on your, you know what I mean? I mean, think about that. There aren't very many companies out there that there are people with tattoos of them on them. That's how serious people are about Harleys. I mean, I can't think of any other product really. And why is it? People really want to identify themselves with Harley, especially riders, for a lot of reasons. I mean, Harley means high quality. To a great extent, it means toughness. I mean, that's Harley. That's the Harley brand.
Does it have to be a brand or can it be a company?
Well, do you have something in mind?
Like Walt Disney?
Oh, Disney's actually a pretty good example too. They've done a great job of branding themselves. You see someone with a Disney tattoo, what would you think if you saw someone with a Mickey Mouse tattoo or something like that? Yeah, you'd probably think, oh, they're kind of fun-loving and you know, they joke around a lot. I mean, that's their brand, right? But anyway, good point. He says once you figure out your why, you know, Apple is for creative people, Disney's for fun-loving people, Harley's for tough people. Once you figure, the cheerleading squad is for supportive people and that kind of thing. The football team is for, the cross-country team is, the shooting team is, right? That's what you are, that's why you exist. What's the next thing you need to figure out? This is tough. This is what he says. Skip the middle circle. He says the next thing you need to figure out is your what. This is what people see. That's why he puts it on the outside. This is what people see, is your what. What do you want to show the world? Okay. Apple computers. Their why is we make great looking products for, you know, creative people and blah, 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 whatever their product is, right? What do? We make computers, technology, iPods, basically an iPod is just an MP3 player. Is there even any other MP3 players still in the market, really? I mean, if you think about it. They make tablets. There are some other tablets out there, but let's face it, an iPad is really what we think of as a tablet nowadays, right? That's the what. I'm going to show you the what of this football team. Sorry, I should have put this thing up. I may do that. Their what. Do you remember what color the what was? Blue. In this model, this is the building model. The other one's the golden circle model. In this model, you put your what next, as if to say this. Your what supports your why. Okay? In other words, if you accomplish this, you're going to have to be this. Does that make sense? Think about it. They want to win their last game. What does that actually mean? They want to win the championship, right? They want to win the state championship, or if it was a college team, it might be the national championship or whatever, right? But they want to win their last game. The only way you can win your last game is if you win it all. Is that correct? For the most part? Okay? In order to do that, you think you'd have to be this kind of person? I mean, I think it would help. They seem to think so. Okay? I'm not asking you to commit to anything tonight. I'm not asking you to, get on the phone with your coach and say, hey coach, I figured out our goal for the year. Okay, that's not what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to think about that right now. And let's start filling in this building model, which is on, and it'll just be a draft, but I think it's page 22, 23. Okay? 23. So you can put your why, if you want to rewrite your why sentence, you can write that right there. Why are we a cross-country team? Because we want to get people involved in something, and we think that running is something that everybody can do. Why are we a cheerleading team? Why are we a football team? Why are we a wrestling team? Why are we a shooting team? Why are we an archery team? Why are we? Go ahead and put that up there. And let's start building your building right now. Again, I'm not asking you to commit to something that you need to make a decision for your whole team right now. I'm kind of walking you through the process right now, so that the hope is that you can walk other people through this process. Again, this is kind of a formal process. It doesn't have to be this formal. Matter of fact, there are companies that do this kind of a thing, and they only they make a document like this, and they don't share it with anybody else in the company. They just have it because it helps them to guide their decisions. So there's no saying that you even have to do this or share this or anything, but I'm just showing you a method and just kind of some reasoning that you go through if you were trying to devise a plan to get where you want to go. A question I sometimes ask people is, how many of you would seriously like to win a state championship with your sport if you have a competition that high? We got hockey here, we got shooting here, we have tennis here, we have football here, we have football here, we have soccer here. Okay, let me ask you this. If the state tournament were tomorrow, would your team be ready? Of course, I never have heard someone, oh yeah, we're ready. Never heard it. So what does that mean? That means that you are at a place today, and that's your spot today, and you want this. I'm not saying you want it with all your heart and soul, but that's what you'd like to have. That's your preference. Right? So that means you have some moving to do. And it might mean you have a lot of moving to do. And it might mean you got to get a lot of people moving in that direction. And that's really what leadership is all about. And that's the purpose of setting up some kind of a plan like this. So all I'm really doing is showing you a method. It's the best one I've come up with. It's a method of moving people in the right direction. So go ahead and write down your why and pick out a what. If it's win state championship, it's win state championship. It's easy. It's done. I've worked with other groups that have said, our goal is to win 3 seasons. The regular season, the section tournament, and then the state tournament. They wanted to win 3 seasons. When we say it's a what, we're actually saying that other people can see it. Right? And there's no question in their mind what they're looking at. That's what a what is. Some people have said, our what is to give 100% on every play. Or every whatever. I had a person, I worked with a group that was doing a musical. and they were talking about organizing their practices and all that, their rehearsals and all that stuff, and they said, we want our what to be that we all give the best performance we can every night. And I said, that's great. How does anybody else know if you gave your best performance? That's a tough question to answer for an actor or performer, right? The point is that anybody should be able to look at it and see that you did it. Does that make sense? That's why the team that said win our last game, I think it's ambitious. I'm actually a little leery of setting goals like that, but if that's what they wanted, that's what they decided, okay? And if you ever want to talk to me about goal setting, that's a whole nother conversation, but I think it's a little ambitious for this group, but that's what they decided they wanted. And it's definitely, in this group's case, it's definitely something that they are going to have to work, and they are going to have to really live up to their why if they're going to get their what. Does that make sense? Okay. Do you got one? Do you got a why and a what? Okay. Okay. Well, you got your why. You got your what. And what else do you need? You got to have your how. Because if you just have a why and a what, you really don't have much. I mean, it's like saying, okay, I'm going to take a trip to Duluth. Where's Duluth? Well, it's north. You ever know what way north is in here? That way? Okay. So if you say, I got a why and a what, it's like saying I'm going to Duluth and I'm going to point north. And that's it. You're done. But that's not how it works, obviously, right? You got to start coming up with a plan. So, what do you think it would take? At this point, you would probably need to bring